Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. Today, I want to do this video-provoking thought because I want all of my viewers to understand you have to continuously keep thinking. We sometimes learn a lot, and then at some point in time, we stop thinking, and we get to like a cruise control conscious in a sense. And we stop thinking and questioning our thoughts. And questions lead to wisdom. It's a deep thing. A man's wisdom depends on his questions and his reasoning. Now, men have many questions in today's times. And through a man's questions, you can tell how deep his intellect goes. So, in the black community, men have this question. Who was first on earth? The Caucasian or the melanated? Grasp. Men in today's times, they have the question. Who was first on earth? Black people or white people? And it's a very deep thing because it really wouldn't matter who was first on earth. That doesn't mean they were first in existence. Earth is not the first thing in existence. So the question truly holds no merit. Mind you, people are not born from planets. People are born from people. Grasp. People do not sprout out of planets like flowers. They sprout out of women's vaginas. So when you're dealing with the origins of man and who was in existence first, you have to raise your intellect beyond earth. And men have a hard time doing this. And this is why their knowledge is limited. This is why their questions and reasoning is simple-minded. You have to grasp. When you're dealing with existence in life beyond earth, then race holds no merit. And this is why men don't ask that question. Men are concerned with who was first on earth. But when you get into existence in life, you know you're dealing with the unphysical becoming the physical, or the unmanifested becoming the manifested. And this has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with skin color. This has nothing to do with physical bodies, genders, none of that. See, we all begin from the unmanifested. So if you're trying to track the origins of who was first in existence, you have to go beyond the physical. Because the unmanifested is becoming manifested. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. The question in itself is ignorant. Who was first on earth? Caucasians are the melanated people. Who are the natives to the planet? The Caucasians are the melanated people. These are questions you hear a lot in the black community. But they're ignorant questions because people are not born from planets. People come to planets. That's common sense. Flowers and trees are born out of the planet. They sprout out the ground. You did not sprout out the ground. You came out of your mother's vagina. So people come from people. They don't come from planets. So when you ask who is the native or who was first, who comes from the planet and is the original native of the planet, the question is ignorant because people don't come from planets. But when men have racist thoughts, like who was first? I'm black, so black people had to be first. This stunts their intellect. And this is why that happens. It gets to the point where men say, which race was first? So it doesn't stop at melanated and Caucasian. They go into individual races. Africans were first. And it'll never stop. It goes into male and female. Who was first? The male or the female? And it's like we exist before this earth. You existed in your mother's womb. You existed as a cell in your father. So your existence predates your time on earth. But men cannot grasp this when their intellect is stuck on the racist things that's happening on the planet. Men cannot grasp beyond the physical. So their questions don't stem from that. They understand that we had to come from the unphysical or the unmanifested, but they never put their reasoning that deep. So it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Men will say, is Earth flat? Is Earth round? But you have to ask yourself, what does that matter in you gaining intellect of self? Now, I know brothers like to say a whole lot of nothing. Oh, we correlate with the planet and blase, 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 and it's important to know the shape of the earth so you can know shape of self, and brothers will manipulate knowledge any way they can. But you have to grasp. When scientists figure out the shape of earth and what it is, this will do nothing for you in your intellect. And you know this. All you will know now is the shape of earth. And it's a deep thing. Men intellect in today's time, it moves too slowly along. Because we all know earth is a part of a whole system. It's called the solar system. That's what scientists call it, a solar system. So we know earth is a part of a whole system. Like you have an immune system. So one thing within you, it's its own thing, but it's a part of a whole. So men in today's times, they get lost in trying to figure out the shape of earth, as opposed to understanding what the system is, meaning the whole. But this is what I mean. Men are lost in self. They're lost in the physical. So even though they know earth is a part of a whole, they're only concerned about the part that has to do with what they think has to do with them. So we see the sun, the moon, we see the other stars up above, but truly getting understanding of that is not what men in today's times care about. They just want to talk about earth, and they want to manipulate the knowledge to correlate with race and status and things of this nature. Simple-minded things. So the questions are simple-minded. But earth is a part of a whole system. We need to understand that the life is within the life. You have cells within you. I know scientists haven't gotten to the point where they've told you that the cells within you are no different than you. Meaning you have no different than the solar, so to say. So you're no different than the solar system that we live within. Meaning you're the micro or you're the cells within the solar system. The same way you have cells within you. So you can't get too lost on the planet. The main focus is the solar system, the star, not the planet, but the star. You have to understand the planet is a part of the star. All the planets are a part of the star. The star is the whole, but we're within. So this is where you have to adjust your perspective. This is where understanding comes into play. Because you look up and see the sun and you say, that's not a living person. Solace is speaking pseudo. But that's because you haven't adjusted your perspective, understanding that you're the cell within the solar. Because the life is within the life. So we have billions of cells within us. Some are like trees, some are like plants, some are like animals, some are like fish, some are like birds. You have so many different types of life forms within you, but they're micro, so we call them cells, which is to say a body, a living body. Now, scientists don't say, oh, the cells in your body are like the different organisms you have here. People, animals, plants, birds, fish, different things like that. And the living cells within you, they're no different than that. Science is a matter of technology. They have the equipment to understand as much as they can. So they don't have the equipment to truly look at the innards of the body from the perspective of the cell. They can only see the cells as a larger body, meaning you're a large person looking at something micro. So they only can see it from that perspective with the technology that they have today. If they get to a point where they have technology where they can see the innards of your body as if it was a micro, meaning you can see the perspective of someone's body as if you were the micro cell within them, giving you a perspective of what the cells look like, how they move, what they're doing, because there's many different, you can say, species of cells within you, just like there's many different species of organisms within the solar. Don't say the planet, but the solar. We have to get comfortable with that, understanding that the solar is the whole, meaning the star, the solar system, the star system. That's the whole. So you have to always put yourself in that perspective. Don't put yourself into perspective with the planet, because the planet is within the solar just like you. So your organs are within your body just like the cells are. So the cells don't need to correlate themselves with the organs, so to say, or the things within the body, but they need to understand that they're within a living being just like they are living beings. And this is what we have to begin to understand. Life is not a movie. We're not in a dome. What's that little snow thing that you get at Christmas time that you shake up? Because you have Brother Sanchez and other flat earthers, they're describing Earth like that. And we're real life. That's not real. So you have to understand the life is within the life. You will always be a cell within a larger body. And there's billions of cells within bodies, all different species and kinds. So you have to grasp, as above, so below. Our focus is on the wrong things. And this is why the understandings conflict. This is why brothers believe, oh, Solace is teaching pseudo. or he's making this up. I'm not making this up. I'm going deeper than science is taking you. Science is just telling y'all, you have microcells within you, they're living beings, or they're living life also, but your perspective is not building on that to truly understand. Okay, my body is a solar system, so to say, on a micro level, and it works the same. The problem is when y'all look at the sun, y'all forget to adjust y'all perspective and understand that you are within the solar system. And you know that. Grasp. You know the planets are within the solar system. You know that you're within the solar system. So if you're within, you have to grasp. All you see is what's within. You are not seeing what's without. You're not seeing the being that you live within, or the body. And it's a deep thing because the ancient people of Chem, the ancient people of Sumer, and a lot of different ancient people of the past, they believed that the body that we lived in, because they understood what I'm breaking down now. This is why they always gave a lot of reference or notoriety to the star, because they understood that's the macro body and we're the cells within it. And we have cells within us, and we're the star to the cells within us. So they understood as above, so below. But what I was about to say is a lot of the ancients, they believed that the being that we're in, the body of it, if you could see it from the outer perspective, they believed that it was some type of a bird being. So you have different types of organisms or life. You see it all around you, birds, people, and these are all living beings. They all have intellect. I know you're not a lion, so you may feel you're smarter and you own the planet, and the lion amongst lions, they feel the same way. Their intellect is no different than yours. They view themselves as special the same way man does. So you just have to begin to grasp that all the living life here is no different than one another, but they're different. You grasp what I'm saying? We're different in the way that we live, in the way that we think. But in correlation to all species, they all view themselves the way we view ourselves, as if we're the smartest thing on the planet, etc., because they're truly living beings with a spirit or a life force, no different than you. So you just have to grasp that. So like the ancient Kemetic people, they believe that the solar system, if you understand what I was just explaining, how we're within the star, so our perspective is viewing it from within. We're not adjusting our perspective to say, okay, if I was on the outside and I was on the same level of life as the star, I would be looking at the star not from within, but I would be looking at the star from without, seeing the star's outer appearance and how the body and shape of it truly looks. And the ancient Kemetic people and the ancient Sumer people believed that the star was a bird being. This is why they always put wings on it, and they had it like flying, and this is where you get like the phoenix and things like that from, because they were trying to break down things that men in today's times, for some reason, they just don't want to understand. So when I break these things down, men are quick to say, oh, that's pseudo. Even though what I'm saying, it correlates with science. I'm not saying anything that science isn't saying. I'm just going in depth, meaning I'm giving you a perspective. Scientists don't give perspective. They give you the information. Use your brain. If scientists tell you you have cells within your body, billions and trillions of them, and they fight off bacteria, and they do this and that, and they reproduce, you have to have common sense of self to say, okay, that's like us. Is it us? Meaning all the life you see around you, the different life forms and all the life you see living here, are we the same way like that? Are we the microcells within the solar? Scientists are not going to do all of that. Scientists are assholes because they're wise. So in their mind, if you're not smart enough to grasp that if I told you that a cell is fighting, then you should grasp that it's a living being. You should grasp that it's like the things around you that you see. Because all you see is people fighting people, animals fighting animals, so you can get an understanding. If things fight, then they're conscious, they have intellect. I'm not saying that they're wise, but they have intellect. If you're fighting, you're not the wisest pea in the pot, but you have intellect. Because wise men know you don't really have to raise a finger to solve anything, offer anything. But this is not about that. But my point is this. I just want y'all to begin to start thinking. Start questioning. Start trying to understand the things that I'm saying. Because the things that I am saying are not different than the things that y'all know. Y'all just have a hard time. I don't understand. It's like when I was debating Brother Jabari, he was saying that the earth is bulging on the sides. So I was trying to help him out, and I was trying to explain to him, we're within the stars, so living beings have a pulse. And this, what a pulse does. If you have a pulse, then your heart is pulsating. So you're pulsating if you have a pulse. So he was saying the earth is bulged at the sides, so I was just letting him know the earth is within living life. All is life. All is living. Earth has a pulse. Therefore, if it has a bulge, you have to remember that it's pulsating. For some reason, he thinks I was disagreeing with what he was saying. I was actually helping what he was saying make more sense. Because if Earth is just expanding on the sides, then Brother Sanchez is right. Earth is flat, or it's on its way to being flat. Because if Earth is bulging on its sides, then that means it's flat on the top and flat on the bottom. So Brother Jabari kind of debunks himself. If he says that like that, Earth is bulging out, and they're saying it's continuously expanding out, then that would make it eventually flat. And if you put in perspective that we're the micro on Earth, if Earth is bulging on the sides, it's not truly round. It would be like that. And if we're the micro on it, meaning Earth is big in comparison to us. But if we were bigger than the Earth, it would be flat. So when he says the Earth bulges on the sides, he's actually making Brother Sanchez's point. It's a deep thing. But the Earth isn't flat. And I didn't want anyone watching that may have intellect, because Brother Sanchez and them is not as dumb as he thinks. They're smart. Everybody has intellect. It's just what you're stuck and lost on. So Brother Sanchez is lost on flat Earth. Jabari's lost on Kemetic. But it's just a matter of that. When I say lost, I mean like stuck. They're stuck on that and that only. They're not trying to go beyond, like grasp that and then move along and grasp more. Life is more than Kemetic science. Life is more than the shape of Earth. But I was basically just trying to help Jabari out, because we all know Earth. If people don't want to say Earth has a heartbeat, and it's because Earth doesn't have a heartbeat, Earth is a part of the system. So we just have to grasp that. But it doesn't matter. Your heart beats, meaning your immune system, a part of it beats, therefore the whole immune system pulsates, meaning your heart pulsates. This is how you get the heartbeat, the pulse. Therefore, your whole immune system is pulsating. You in yourself, you're pulsating. If a person touches you there, you can feel the pulsating. So when I was explaining to Jabari that the earth is pulsating, it was almost as if he was trying to make it as if I was saying the earth is going flat, then expanding. They play so many games when they're talking, they just don't just receive what a person's saying. The earth is just pulsating. The earth is made of more than solid. It's more than just firm ground. You have air, you have liquids, you have the fiery substance where it's not, I forgot how you pronounce it, the ethereal, where it's not physical, but it's not unphysical also, meaning you can see fire, but you can't grasp it. So earth has many different aspects to it, all maneuvering together. So earth will move in, it's deep. I don't even want to go into the shape of earth because people are not going to grasp. But the main thing I want y'all to grasp is that earth is a part of a whole. And, when Brother Jabari was saying it was expanding, I was just trying to help him out. I don't think he understood. He was just trying to debate so bad. That's what I was trying to explain to him. You're reaching to disagree. It's making the conversation retarded a little bit. It's making us go into, do plants have heartbeats and all type of weird stuff. And it's like I'm trying to explain to him. The plant or the tree is an extension of the earth, which is the ground, the earth. So if the tree or the plant is an extension of the earth, and the earth is pulsating, then the tree has a heartbeat or a pulse also. The life forms you see on the earth, they're all different. They have their own genealogy. But they're all the same type of life, meaning the plants and trees, they breathe in, they breathe out. They breathe out oxygen, breathe in nitrogen. Or maybe it's hydrogen, I forget which one. But they breathe out oxygen and they breathe in what they breathe in. Now, scientists may say, oh, they're not breathing, but it's different. They're pushing it out and they're receiving in. But whatever the case, you have to have a brain to grasp. You breathe out oxygen, you breathe in oxygen, you breathe out nitrogen or hydrogen. I forget which one. But it's the same thing, just reverse. So I'm trying to explain to Brother Jabari, if it's a living being, it has the same makeup. It may not be the same as yours, meaning the plant doesn't breathe and have nostrils and things like you, but it has the same system in its way, but it's still breathing. It still has a pulse. You can't see a man pulsating, but you know a man has a pulse, and when you touch him, you feel the pulsating. You feel the man pulsating. So when I was saying the earth is pulsating, you have to remember we're micro, so we can see every aspect of a thing when, they're using their technology to view these things. But he wasn't giving himself a chance to understand. He was so busy trying to debate and debunk what I was saying, it was truly leading him nowhere. But it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp, because this has nothing to do with that. I debate for the purpose of people grasping, but everyone does not want to grasp. So it's a deep thing, but we have to raise our intellect and just understand the things that we're questioning, they're a part of a whole. There's a bigger point to the things that we're questioning. We're questioning the earth, not grasping the star that it's a part of, and how we're the cells within that star. So it's a deep thing. If you understand or you adjust your perspective and understand what you're supposed to be understanding, then you can grasp the things that y'all think about and the things that y'all question. Because if earth is flat or round, really, It really means nothing. It's a waste of a discussion. And it's a deep thing. It's just like when you're dealing with, like I was explaining to Jabari, that everything living has a pulse, everything living has the same things. You may not be familiar with how it operates because you're not that life form. But to give you an example, we have brains. Now, a worm doesn't have a brain, but it does because the worm's whole body is the brain. If you look at a worm, its body looks like a brain, a slender-shaped brain, but a worm's body is the brain, and you can say, to make it simple for y'all to grasp, you have sensors all within your brain, and they connect to every different part of your body. So this is how your body has conscious, so to say. Your hand, how my hands is moving. This is the different sensors in my brain operating the body. Now, worms don't have brains, but they do. We just don't understand that their whole body is a brain, and the brain sensors are all over the body of the worm. Therefore, if you cut a worm in half, its two separate halves are still conscious, because the worm in itself is like the brain without the body, and it moves, and it's a deep thing. But the worm is the same as you. It thinks, it has a brain, but the way its genealogy is, its body is the brain, and the whole body in itself is the brain. But it breathes, it has a pulse, a heart, just may not be a heart the way you're familiar with it. But if Earth is bulging on the sides, I don't want to say it's bulging on the sides, but it has a pulse. But I didn't want to disagree with the brother because I was in his home, and we don't always have to disagree. I feel like some people I want to debate because they think they're so smart and they annoy me. And then there's others like Brother Jabari that I actually like. And I just want to let him learn how he learns. So when I said the earth was pulsating, I was just trying to push him into understanding. If you want to say the earth is round, well, and it's bulging on the sides, well, just remember that it's a part of a living being, so to say. And it has a heartbeat. And if it's bulging on the sides, then you have to use all of these, because they're not going to give you everything laid out. You have to take everything you know. Okay, I heard a scientist say that Earth is bulging on the sides. I also know that Kemetic people, they understood that the star was a being, and we are the cells within it. So you have to grab everything you know and start to connect it. So, okay, if the earth is bulging on the sides, maybe that's because it's pulsating. It's a part of the immune system, which is what we call the solar system. And if the solar system is a complete being, it has to have a pulse. And I've heard scientists say that Earth has a heartbeat or a Schumann resonance, which is their way of describing a heartbeat or a pulse or the wave length of Earth. And you just have to start to begin to grab everything that you know and correlate it to make your point have relevancy. Because just saying that the Earth bulges on the sides mean nothing. Just because a scientist says that, it doesn't mean nothing. It has to make sense in some kind of way. So I was just trying to help the brother as opposed to just debunk him and be like, oh, that makes no sense. If you say that, then the top of Earth is flat if it's bulging on the sides. And I didn't want to do that with him. I was in his home, and it's just not the place for that. But I hope, I don't know. I hope he grasped, even though he was acting like he didn't. I hope he grasped some of the things I was saying, because it can help him grasp beyond what he knows. He knows what he knows, and it's almost as if he just wants to know that, and he doesn't want to go beyond that. He wants to wait. I want to wait for scientists to say. So this is how you get stuck in conscious, following others' conscious. It's deep, but we have to adjust our conscious. We have to stop asking questions like, Who was first, man or woman? You have to grasp. They make each other exist. Man and woman, this has to do with feminine and masculine. And this is energies. And this comes before the manifested body. So when you're dealing with man and woman, you have to go beyond the physical. Because the unmanifested is becoming the manifested. And men do not want to grasp that, so therefore they ask questions like, who was first, man or woman? And that truly makes no sense. They both make each other. This all goes to the sperm cell and the egg. Masculine and feminine energies, as I said. But for some reason, people are not grasping. Everything is the same knowledge on every level. So you have masculine and feminine energies, and this is unmanifested, meaning unphysical. But it manifests. So even though your physical aura, you could say a sperm cell and an egg cell is physical, it's still the unphysical manifesting into the physical. So you still have to look at it in the same way, masculine and feminine. When you're looking at men and women, you still have to look at them in the perspective of the energies that they are manifesting from. And we don't do this. Now, the sperm cell is not physical. The semen is physical. It's like a temporary body for the sperm cell. This is why the semen in the egg cell, they have a lot of the same makeup. If you look up what is an egg cell made of, what is semen made of, they have a lot of the same makeup. Because the sperm cell is just using, meaning the electrical charge, the spirit, the life form, the life force. It's using the semen. It's using the materials that's within the semen as a temporary body or a short-term body. The same way it's using the egg cell as a body to maneuver around in. But we just have a hard time understanding. But it's truly a deep thing. The sperm or the spirit will not have no experience if it wasn't for the egg cell, the body. And the egg cell, which is the body, will not have no life if not for the sperm cell. So if not for these two things joining, you would not have man and woman to ask that dumb question. Who was first? You grasp? If the masculine and feminine energies from the beginnings never came together, you wouldn't have man and woman. That dumb question wouldn't even be able to be asked. So when you're asking questions like that, who came first, man or woman? You have to understand all physical things come from the unmanifested. So physical is manifested. Unphysical is unmanifested. But they one in the same, meaning the unphysical is what becomes the physical. So when you're dealing with physical man and woman, you have to go to the beginnings. And when you do that, you realize, okay, that's a dumb question. Not to say that the brothers that ask this question is dumb. I'm just saying when they begin to do that and understand, okay, man and woman come from the unphysical first. And once they begin to indulge into that, understanding this is not weirdo talk like how people do it today, where they say, oh, we came from the unphysical and the spiritual, but they can't explain where this place is. I'm talking simple stuff. The unphysical elements are the unmanifested things like sperm cells and egg cells. These things are not physical to us because we can't see them. But things like this, the unphysical, are coming into being, meaning they're coming into size so that you can see. So physical is a matter of size perspective, meaning a thing is physical when you can see it. A wasp, you can barely see that. So a wasp ain't really physical to you. You can't see every aspect of a wasp. When it touches you, you feel it. You like, so this is my point. But a wasp is physical. An egg cell is physical, but you can't see it. Sperm is physical, not the cell within the sperm. But the sperm is physical, so you could see it. It's a deep thing. The sperm cell, this is what makes the cell physical. The sperm on it. That's why we call it sperm cell. But those cells within the sperm, that's truly just the charge of life. The spirit. It's a deep thing. This is why when I say the sperm is the spirit, you have to truly understand in totality what I'm saying. Meaning you have to understand the makeup of sperm. You can't just say dumb, because y'all be getting lost thinking that the sperm. When I say the sperm is the spirit, I mean the sperm cell, which is common sense. I'm not talking about the semen, because the sperm is the deep thing. Y'all have to grasp what's being said, therefore you can understand. Y'all be so quick to disagree, you don't give yourself a chance to understand in totality what a person is saying. Some people don't need as much as others. They kind of just grasp off rip. Oh, yeah, that do make perfect sense. I know sperm cells get egg cells in. The sperm is the spirit. The egg is the body. Boom, I grasp. Makes sense. Others, they stuck in what they're stuck in, and sometimes they don't even realize what they're stuck in is saying the same thing that I'm saying. Like comedic science. A lot of what comedic science is saying is what I'm saying, but brothers are just stuck into what these fake people have claimed to decipher. Because we know people say they decipher things and they understand things to make themselves look wiser than others. We know this is a real thing. So when you're dealing with the Medu Netta and the ancient Kemetic people, people are always going to say that it's deciphered to make themselves look like they have an understanding, but in all truthfulness, they take away from the intellect of the people of that time when they do that. So Kemetic followers, they love and respect Kemetic science, but in the same token, they don't realize that they're diminishing it when they act as if it's deciphered and all of this. They take away from the trueness of the Medu Netta, because the Medu Netta language has way more meaning and understanding. They have way more words and things like this. And when you say you deciphered it, yet your language is lacking in understanding, it takes away from them people. And this is how you have things like nectar or netcher being translated to mean God, and it just takes away from what the Kemetic people of the past were saying, because they didn't believe in gods, in the status of gods the way that we do in today's times. They didn't even have that word God. That's our word. And we translate ancient things into our words, into our understanding of our words. Not trying to put ourselves in their perspective, in their understanding. We try to translate their things into our understanding, and it takes away from them people. These are things that Brother Jabari and other teachers, I just want them to grasp this. It's not always about debating, it's about getting understanding. When I say I have a higher intellect than the rest of the teachers, it's not to insult them. It's for them to grasp. The questions that a lot of the people ask are simple-minded to me. And I get frustrated because this is why. You ask a question like, who was first on Earth? And a person's like, Earth wasn't the first thing in existence. Why are you asking Earth? You don't come from Earths or planets. people come from people. So when your intellect is there, and the man is talking about Earth, you like, he don't understand. Like, he's supposed to understand beyond that. But it's a deep, interesting thing. It's very late. I'm getting tired. But I want to give y'all as much as I can while I'm in this good, humble spirit. Because, that's what it's about. I'm in good, peaceful spirits. I'm tired. I've been doing a lot this week. But, we just have to get a little more wiser. We have to start to think. Continuously think. You can never stop thinking. You have to grasp that. You have intellect. You have to continuously build up on that intellect. You have to continuously question your thoughts, your ideas. Therefore, they can grow. So when you question your ideas, in a sense, you're tearing them down so that they can rebuild up bigger. It's like Brahma and Shiva. It's like all teachings in life. They teach you creation, destruction, and anew, and how that process continues. All teachings pretty much teach you that in their own way, but they teach you not to say life, not to say earth, but just life and all living things in life. Everything moves the same because it's all life. So when you're dealing with life, you have creation, destruction, and then you have anew. But it's revolving. So the creation, the destruction, the creation, the destruction, there's no separation in it. It's just destroying to create anew. So it's like the sperm cell within the egg, and then the sperm cell kind of goes through a death and a splitting, and the cells split all up, and it's like destruction. But it's a destruction to bring about anew. But it's all one and the same. So it's really no destroying or creating, but it is, if you need that to grasp. But it's a deep thing we just have to begin to understand. Like, all is evolving because of the coming together of the life. So it's just like when I say you get different, when I say we don't all come from Africans, all life didn't start in Africa and migrate out, but you had different melanated people on all planets, and the different peoples and albinos and just different peoples mixing and mingling. This is how you get more races. It's the same with all aspects of the life. You get more from the life coming together. So that's all life does. It just comes together. This is almost how life just continuously goes. It's infinite because of the fact that the life keeps coming together. All aspects of it. Not just what you see and what you think. Like, oh, men and women come together, but so many different things. When men and women come together, there's so much that's coming together. Because men and women are like universe, meaning organisms. They harbor so much smaller life within them. It's like the micro life is building up into the greater life, and the greater life is bringing all that micro life up with it. So the little bit that you known as a child, you brought all that up with you into the, you know a lot now, but the small things you knew as you came along, you brought that along with you. So we just have to understand the life coming together is how you get the abundance. And life will always work the same. So what I'm saying now, you will see. You see different races of people reproducing, and their babies are now mixed, and mulattoes and interracial. I forgot the word that fast. You have a bunch of interracial babies. Biracial. You have biracial babies. Now, we haven't actually named them, or they haven't named themselves their own races, but this is how races come about. This is how races get names because of that. So this is what I mean by different races intermingling with one another is how you get other races. So it's a simple, deep thing, but You know when I say this, it's real because you still see it happening. You know the life is still coming together. This is how you still have babies and things still being born. And so nothing I say is pseudo. Everything I say, it's science. It's just on a deeper level than the scientists of today are explaining. I think they understand close to what I know, but they don't explain it to y'all in that way, which they really don't have to. I mean, I hear what they say and I grasp. So I don't know why y'all don't. I can correlate with them, what they're saying to the point. But it's a deep thing. We have to just want more. It's just that simple. You have to just, it's all about acknowledging. Everything in life has to do with acknowledging. This is why the ancients acknowledged so many aspects of life. Now we've turned that acknowledgement to all those aspects of life, we've put that into many gods, and they were worshiping many gods, but they didn't even understand that train of thought, because that's our thing, gods and statuses, and this is why when y'all like, oh, they worship so many gods, it's weird. It's because you're weird, and you have that God thing in your perspective, forgetting that they're not us in today's times. So you just have to grasp. They were just acknowledging all the aspects of the life, because in acknowledging, you can receive from whatever you're acknowledging. So if you act like a thing doesn't exist, then it doesn't to you. So it's all about acknowledging. And when brothers begin to acknowledge, okay, I don't know anything, then you will begin to know. Because in you acknowledging, you're accepting. So grasp how simple that is. You acknowledge you know nothing, and that you receive something. Grasp. You accept you know nothing. And when you accept, it's receiving. And now you know something, which is that you know nothing. And now in that is so much. That is the seed of truth and deep understanding. I know nothing. This is the first thought or first true deep piece of intellect you must build on. Stop building off what other men told you and what you read. Don't use that as your foundation. Go within the truth and understand acknowledgement. And acknowledge that you know nothing. And stop pretending that you do. See, I didn't teach when I didn't know nothing. When I thought I knew everything in the world, I didn't teach others. Because I always acknowledge within self, I know nothing. And in me doing that, knowledge began to blossom. That right there is a flower within self. And once I went through that process in my conscious baptism, all the things I tell y'all about, then I begin to teach others, because I have a sense of balance and I have a sense of truly understanding. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. But when you acknowledge that you know nothing and you believe it within self, instead of trying to lie to self like you know, acknowledge that the one thing you can stand on. Y'all say y'all know a lot of things, but when the brother get to start the nitpicking at what you know, you start getting shaky because you have no foundation of truth. Because you know within self, you truly do not know what you speak, because it is not your creation. It is another man's thoughts. And what other scholars or what other wise men wrote and said, and you're trying to stand on this. But you have to stand on your truth, which is I know nothing. And you accept that truth, and you stand on that, and you build that. That's your foundation, and it's a strong seed to stand on. And you build on that you know nothing. But that's the first thing that you know. And you acknowledging you know nothing, you know. Grasp that. I know nothing. It's to say, I know something. I know one thing now. that I know nothing. For a man to come to the conclusion that he knows nothing, to know that he knows nothing is to know something. It's to know that he knows nothing. And that's a strong foundation to stand on. And this is what a lot of y'all need to do. Find that foundation and stand on that and begin to build up on your intellect, on the fact that you know nothing, and you have to find a way to know. Reading what a man wrote ain't knowing. It's just knowing what he said. But you have to know. And life is here for us all, and you have to just begin to build from that and begin to build a relationship with life. Not earth, but life. Earth is a part of life. Animals, fish, living things, this is a part of life. So when I say you have to begin to learn from life by observing and beginning to tap in and get back into feeling, learn from life in a whole. Not just earth or an animal or a tree, but understand the whole and pull from whatever you can. But you have to tap into feeling. You have to begin to acknowledge things are living. They have intellect like you. It's just different. But you can tap into it if you acknowledge. A dog understands your intellect. He understands your words because the dog acknowledges that you have intellect also. You do not acknowledge the dog has intellect equal to you. He's just a different species than you, and he lives different. You don't acknowledge this. So you're smarter than the dog to you. And in that, you disconnect yourself from the life, because life is all one. It's so deep and cold-blooded, I don't want to lose y'all. Because my understanding is so deep. And the manner and the way that I live and the way that I look, it throws people off. They don't grasp that the way I speak is the way I live. But the way I look, it doesn't go with that sometimes. If I'm debating on Sonetta TV outside and the energies, I'm moving with the energies, but that is not how I walk around. If the knowledge seems in depth to you, it's because I'm at a place of peace. I'm always relaxed. If you see me, I'm not irate. I'm to myself. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. I'm grown. I'm old. I'm an old spirit. I'm 35, but I'm an old spirit if you can grasp that. Not the cool little slogans that y'all say when y'all be like, oh, he an old soul. Literally, I'm an old spirit. It's a deep thing. But y'all just have to begin to understand some of the things that I was breaking down in this video, and feeling and just fixing your perspective and always building on what you grasp. Then you can begin to grasp when I say I'm an old spirit. A lot of the knowledge I get, it's because of feeling. I've been observing life so long and tapping into the feeling of things. When I was at Jabari's house about to have the discussion with him, I was playing with his tree. Not playing with it, but I was touching it and communicating with it. And he was like, oh, brother, you like trees, huh? And I was like, nah, I learned from trees. And he was like, oh. But he didn't say, oh, like, oh, this brother's crazy. But he was just like, oh, like, I've heard that before. But he didn't pull or try and understand. It was just like, oh, I heard that before. That's real. But then you move along. You don't indulge into, this is really acknowledging, like, hold on, the brother's sitting here stuck on, because him and Sonetta was talking, and I was kind of like, the way they were with each other, I was with the tree. But I don't think we don't, like I said, we don't see the life as the same intellect as us. There's no acknowledging truly. So when I say I communicate with the trees, it's hard for y'all to understand because y'all only understand communication the way y'all understand it because y'all don't acknowledge nothing else as intellectuals. In trees, nothing's more wise, nothing has more wisdom than a tree. Literally. When I say like nothing holds more information than a tree, that too, but intellect, nothing has more intellect than a tree. Y'all just do not understand. It's so cold-blooded if I could find a way for y'all to understand. If I could find a way to show y'all like I'm communicating with the life. I'm literally communicating with the life. I'm connected. I'm tapped in. This is why things I say, it don't sound, it makes sense, but you like, it just don't make sense to the stuff I believe in that I heard. But if you remove what you heard and what you read, what I say makes sense. So when you hear brothers say, oh, I disagree with you, or that makes no sense, they're saying it into perspective of what they read or their belief. They're not acknowledging that what I'm saying makes sense with life. And I told you I learned from life. So you have to look for everything that I say to make sense with life. You have to understand I have a higher intellect and understanding of life if that's what I'm learning from. So when you're dealing with me, if I say something that goes beyond what you can grasp, you have to remember that, okay, he learns from a different source. You have to begin to acknowledge things. This is how you can receive. It's nothing wrong with saying Silas has a higher intellect. He's learning from the life. I do not know what that is. But listening to him talk, he's learning something from somewhere. And it's not the books, and it's not the other teachers, and it's not no ancient, it's whatever he's learning, I don't know how. Because it don't sound like nothing I heard ever. Yet, it correlates with everything y'all know. This is how you know it's true. It resonates with your spirit and the things you know already. Yet, it sounds foreign to you. Grasp that. When I speak, what I say sounds foreign. Yet, you grasp. It resonates. Then, your influenced intellect kicks in. And you say, no. The teacher that I like more than Silas said something else. Or this book said something else. You completely disconnect yourself from life. As opposed to saying, hold up, what Silas is saying makes sense with life. And I'm going to just stay there and try and let that receive me in some kind of way. You have to connect. Nothing happens overnight, but things happen through acknowledging. Acknowledging is a very powerful force. Acknowledgement. You have knowledge, which is thought. The ancients would have called it tahuti, or thought. Thought. Wisdom, all of these things correlate. Tahuti wasn't the personification of it, but they understood the unphysical manifest into the physical. So we're physical beings that think. So thinking is a physical, literal, real being. It is just not physical. But it manifests in all physical things. See, you're a real being with real intellect. So you have to grasp. The intellect is real. If I take the intellect from you, meaning the conscious, you're dead. If a person has no conscious, we call them a vegetable. Brain dead. They can barely breathe for themselves. The machine has to do it. So this is my point. The conscious, the thought, this is real. And the ancients understood this. So when I say acknowledgement is a true real force, a real deity, an entity, a being, and you have to connect. by acknowledging. This is how you connect with acknowledging. By acknowledging things. Whether it be, I'm acknowledging that I don't know nothing. You have to embrace acknowledging. Because knowledge, acknowledge, it's all Tahuti, or thought, or wisdom. Whatever you want to see it as. It's all the same force. As the force comes up, it brings more with it. It becomes more, but you can't lose perspective. So as thought is manifesting into the physical, it manifests into many physical things. Because it's bringing so many different aspects with it as it's coming over into manifestation from the unmanifested. If you can grasp what I'm saying, I don't know if I'm going too deep. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to truly reach y'all today. Because this is a deep thing. I see a lot of brothers truly believe they have deep intellect. And that's what's killing them. It's so cold-blooded. A lot of y'all have to... I'm going to keep it real. The teachers, they don't stand a chance on getting wise. But a lot of the followers do. The teachers are stuck. It's a deep thing. It's hard for a teacher to grasp anything anyone says but himself. But a lot of students and followers, they still have a chance to grasp the things that Osiris is saying. Because it's a deep thing, and it's like I'm telling y'all, I'm tapped in to something that y'all do not understand. I don't want to get spooky, but I'm tapped in, and it's a powerful thing, and it's deep. But I'm going to go ahead and get ready to go to sleep because I'm exhausted. Hopefully this video did something for all of you. And peace and love. And just try to grasp the things that I say. It's your main man Solace. Be groovy. Acknowledge.